There comes a moment when you can't keep pretending everything is fine. It's when you're alone, and your heart asks you a question you don't want to answer. God, is this person for me? Or am I holding on to something you're trying to move away? And the worst part isn't the doubt, it's what comes after. You lie down, and your mind replays conversations, details, looks, promises, and a feeling that won't leave. You tell yourself, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe it's fear, maybe tomorrow will be different, but the restlessness stays. Because sometimes it isn't anxiety, it's a warning. Listen calmly. When God doesn't approve of your relationship, He doesn't always send a loud sign. Sometimes He simply removes your peace to save your destiny. Stay with me, because in a few minutes you're going to see the exact signs. And the last one is the most dangerous. It looks like love, but it's what will break you the most if you ignore it. And if this is hitting you, write in the comments, God, lead me by your peace, not to please anyone, but to make a clear decision. Now breathe. You're not here by accident. And before your mind runs to conclusions, I want to tell you something carefully. This is not an attack on anyone. It's not to plant paranoia, or to make you look at your partner with hate, or to turn every emotion into a sign. This is to help you discern. Because there are relationships that don't break with a shout, they break in silence. And there are destinies that aren't destroyed by one blow. They get redirected by small compromises, repeated excuses, and the habit of calling normal what is slowly consuming you. Some people, without meaning to, become an anchor, not because they're evil, but because they're not headed in the same direction as what God is forming in you. And when that happens, God doesn't always send a storm to separate you. Sometimes He does something deeper. He shows you the cost. He lets you feel the friction. He lets you notice that your soul is paying a price to hold up something heaven is not holding up. And here is the truth almost no one tells you. The heart can fall fast, but peace cannot be bought with feelings. Peace is not negotiated with promises. Peace doesn't appear just because you've already invested so much. Peace is a witness. And when that peace withdraws, it doesn't always mean the relationship is bad. Sometimes it means something more precise. It's not for your chapter. It's not for your purpose. It's not for your future. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 signs. 5 clear, human, deep signs. And I'm warning you, you're going to recognize details from your life. You're going to feel like some sentences describe you a little too well. If that happens, don't run, don't panic, just listen to the end. Because the goal is not to push you into an impulsive decision, it's to give you back clarity, to give you back authority over your own heart, to give you back the courage to obey what you already know, but are afraid to accept. Let me tell you a story. It's not the story of someone famous, it's the story of many. Change the name, change the face, change the city. The pattern is the same, and as you listen, don't ask, is this my case? Ask, what is this showing me about me? His name was Adrian. He was someone who loved God, not because he had a perfect life, but because he had learned that without God, he would lose himself. Adrian wasn't naive. He had lived through disappointments. He had gone through long seasons of loneliness, the kind that make you question your worth. And right in one of those seasons when on the outside he looked strong, but inside he felt exhausted, she showed up. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a movie scene. It was simple. A conversation that lasted longer than it should have. An easy laugh. That feeling of finally, someone understands me. And when you've felt alone for a long time, the first person who brings you calm can feel like an answer. Adrian felt grateful. He said, God, thank you. He thought it was a gift. And in the beginning, it looked like it was. The first months were light. Constant messages, plans, promises, that spark that makes you feel alive again. She was charming, attentive, affectionate. Adrian could see himself smiling again. And for someone who had felt dim for a long time, that feels like a miracle. But here's the detail almost nobody notices. Something can ignite you emotionally and still extinguish you inside. It was subtle. It didn't start with fights. It started with small compromises. One day he stopped setting aside time to be alone with God because there was an important plan. A conversation that ran late and left him drained the next day. A habit that used to be firm and now became optional. And Adrian told himself, it's normal. It's the beginning. It's love. I'll get back on track. But weeks passed, then months, and what was temporary became the new normal. The strange part is, she didn't forbid anything. She wasn't a villain. She didn't force him. She didn't control him. And that's why Adrian didn't know what to call what was happening. Because when the enemy is obvious, it's easy to defend yourself. But when the cost comes wrapped in affection, the soul gets confused. And that confusion is dangerous. Adrian began to notice something. When he talked about his purpose, she listened, but she didn't light up. She smiled. Yes, like someone hearing a nice dream, not like someone walking with you toward it. And if he pressed, she changed the subject, or said, "Don't take it so seriously." It didn't sound harsh. It sounded relaxed. But inside, Adrian felt something shrink. And here's a real alarm. When you with someone and you start becoming smaller just to make the relationship more comfortable, something is not right. Healthy love doesn't reduce you. It strengthens you. It doesn't make you hide your fire. It protects it. It doesn't make you lower your standard of peace. It honors it. But Adrian began to justify. Maybe she needs time. Maybe she doesn't understand. Maybe I'm too intense. Maybe love is built. And yes, love is built. But it is not built by sacrificing your essence. It is not built at the cost of your clarity. It is not built on the hope that one day the other person becomes who they are, not today. One night, Adrian stayed awake staring at the ceiling. They had had a normal day, nothing serious. But he felt heavy. And it's strange. When something isn't aligned, you don't need drama to feel it. You feel it even when everything looks calm. And that night, Adrian asked himself a question that scared him. Why do I feel farther from God the closer I get to this relationship? That question hit hard, because he wanted the relationship to be good. He wanted it to work. He wanted it to be the one, but peace wasn't cooperating. And the strangest part was this: when he thought about ending it, his heart broke. But at the same time, he felt a relief he couldn't explain. If you felt that, you know exactly what I mean. It's like one part of you is grieving, and another part is breathing for the first time in months. And that contrast is a sign. Now listen closely, because here begin the 5 signs, but not as a cold checklist. I want you to feel them like a mirror. I want you to ask real questions, questions that don't search for someone to blame, but for clarity. The first sign is a sustained loss of peace. That deep peace, that doesn't depend on everything being perfect, but on everything being true. I'm not talking about normal nerves in the beginning, or fear from past wounds. I'm talking about a constant unrest, a sense that something doesn't fit, that there's always a shadow behind what looks beautiful, that your heart is working overtime to hold up something that should feel lighter. Do you reread conversations again and again? Do you replay scenes in your head, trying to understand what happened? Do you feel confused instead of secure? Because when God approves, the relationship can have problems. Yes, but your inner world doesn't live in chaos. When God approves, your thoughts don't live at war. When God approves, there's a place inside you that rests. And here's a delicate point. Many people call passion what is really anxiety. They call intensity what is really uncertainty. They call destiny what is really attachment. And the more you confuse anxiety with love, the more you will ignore the sign God uses to protect you, the withdrawal of peace. Adrian started to notice it. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't an insult. It was a feeling. A discomfort that settled in his chest when they talked about the future, a knot in his stomach when he thought about committing more, a tiredness after seeing her like he had given too much of himself just to make the day go well. And this is key. When a relationship costs you more than it builds you, something is out of place. The second sign is stagnation, doors closing without explanation. I'm not saying life is always easy. Life has seasons, but there's a pattern. When you step into a relationship that isn't aligned, your life gets heavy in a strange way. Not because God is punishing you, but because God does not sustain what He did not assign. You start to feel like you were moving better before, like you had clarity, focus, energy, and suddenly, everything blurs. Adrian lived it. Projects that were flowing got stuck. Opportunities that used to appear stopped appearing, not because the relationship brought bad luck, but because his focus was divided. His mind was busy fixing what he was never meant to fix. His energy was draining. And when your energy goes into maintaining a relationship, it gets taken away from building your destiny. Maybe you're there. You want to grow, but you feel dim. You want to move forward, but it's hard. You want to concentrate, but your mind keeps returning to that person. And you justify it because that's what love is. But there is a difference between investing love and losing yourself. Healthy love doesn't disconnect you from your purpose. It strengthens it. The third sign is repeated counsel, the external voice God uses when you refuse to listen to yourself. This is strong, because when your heart is invested, your judgment softens. Your mind defends what it loves. Your soul protects what it doesn't want to lose. And that's when God, in His mercy, surrounds you with voices. In Adrian's case, it began with small details. A friend who, without attacking her, asked, "You seem different, are you okay?" An older person who had known him before said, "You look tired." A mentor calmly asked, "Is this relationship bringing you closer to God or keeping you distracted far from God?" At first, Adrian got irritated, because when someone touches what you don't want to release, it feels like an attack. But with time, what they said started to repeat, different voices, different words, the same message. "This isn't doing you good. Hear this. If several people who love you, who know you, who gain nothing from seeing you alone, are concerned about the same thing, don't ignore it." And I'm not talking about gossipers or controlling people. I'm talking about consistent voices, people who have seen your light before, and now they see it fading. God uses that repetition as an alarm of love. And here's a question you must ask yourself without lying. Why does it bother you so much when someone questions your relationship? If everything is aligned, counsel doesn't threaten you, it strengthens you. But if something is out of place, counsel hurts because it touches the truth. The fourth sign is when restlessness turns into relief, the moment you imagine letting go. Many people don't want to admit this because it feels cruel. You feel like a bad person for thinking of leaving. You feel guilty for breathing when you imagine ending it, and your mind fights you. "I can't think that. I shouldn't feel that." But your spirit, quietly, gives you a clue. There is relief because there is a burden. Adrian felt it. He imagined a life with her, and his chest tightened. He imagined ending it, and even though he cried for what he would lose, his body relaxed. And that is revealing. Your body sometimes confesses what your mouth refuses to say. Peace isn't only an emotion, it's rest, lightness, air. If you feel relief when you imagine letting go, ask yourself why. What are you holding up? What are you trying to save? What part of you is carrying more than it was meant to carry? Because in an aligned relationship, the future can feel serious, yes, but it doesn't suffocate you. In an aligned relationship, commitment can be weighty, yes, but it doesn't break you inside. And the fifth sign, the most dangerous, is when love becomes a substitute for God. This is subtle. It doesn't mean the other person tells you to abandon God. It means that, without realizing it, your center shifts. You begin to look to the relationship for what only God can give you: identity, peace, direction, worth. And when you put a person in the place only God should occupy, your soul enters chaos, because that person was never created to carry that weight, and you were never created to live dependent on a human being just to be okay. Adrian realized it when he tried to pray and couldn't, not because he hated God, but because his mind was full. He wanted silence, but anxiety dominated him, and he said something that hurt. "I'm more focused on whether she replies than on what God is saying to me." That was a wake-up call. If you're at a point where your emotional state depends on your partner's mood, attention, or validation, there is a sign. Because God did not design you to live chained. God designed you to stand firm, to love, yes, but not lose yourself. To give, yes, but not empty yourself. To connect, yes, but never replace God with a person. Now, I want you to come back to Adrian, because here is the moment that changed everything. One night, exhausted from the inner battle, he decided to stop negotiating. He stopped explaining. He stopped justifying. He stopped saying maybe, and he was on his snow speeches. He said, "God, if this person is not for me, remove the attachment, remove the fog, and give me the courage to follow your peace, even if it hurts." He didn't ask for a spectacular sign. He asked for clarity, and when you ask for clarity sincerely, life starts to speak. The following days weren't dramatic. They were clearer. Adrian started to see what he used to excuse. Details that seemed small became obvious. She wasn't a bad person, but she wasn't committed to the same direction. She wasn't cruel, but her vision for life didn't match the vision he carried inside. And here is something powerful. God doesn't only protect you from bad people, He also protects you from the wrong people. Because what's wrong doesn't always feel wrong at the beginning. Sometimes what's wrong feels beautiful, and that's why it's more dangerous. One day they talked about the future, and for the first time the conversation was real. No fantasies, no empty promises. She said something that left him silent. "I admire you, but I don't want the life you want. I don't feel the same passion for that direction. It scares me, it feels heavy. I don't know if I fit." She didn't say it with hate, she said it with honesty. And that honesty, though it hurt, brought him peace. Because when truth comes into the light, confusion loses its power. They ended it with respect, with sadness, yes, but also with something Adrian hadn't felt in months: rest. That night, he cried, but he slept, and when he woke up, he felt something strange, a clean stillness, as if his soul had been holding its breath for a long time. And finally, it could exhale. And maybe you're there. Maybe you haven't ended it. Maybe you're still trying. Maybe you're negotiating with your own conscience. So I want to speak to you directly. God is not taking love from you. God is guarding your destiny. God is not angry with you. God is being good to you, because there are loves that entertain you, but don't align you. And there are connections that accompany you, but don't propel you. I want to give you something practical so you don't leave here with only emotion. Ask yourself 3 questions silently, honestly, not to judge anyone, but to see yourself in truth. First, since I've been with this person, has my peace increased or decreased? Not surface peace. I mean peace in your mind, in your heart, in your sleep. Second, do I feel closer to God or more distracted?